Vital's B Practice podcast is proudly sponsored by Maxxis, BergTech, and Industry 9.
Maxxis Make or Break section. This is Dak's section every race weekend.
It's not.
Huh?
Not track snacks. It's track facts.
Okay, track facts.
Maxxis Make or Break Dakota track facts section of the week. Dakota, we can talk about the track as a whole. A lot of Fort Bill's long. They did a lot of changes. So there's a lot of sections, I guess you could call it, that track gets broken up into. But what do you think had a huge effect on, or what section had a huge effect on how the race went?
Split two. The rock.
The forums.
Everything we didn't see.
Yeah.
That whole split two that nobody knows what happened up there.
Yeah, I don't know what Charlie did. What did he do? Did he cut the track? Did he?
Ooh, a hot take from Dakota Norton.
I don't know.
Dakota Norton thinks that Charlie Hatton cut the track.
News banner across the
I'm
screen.
kidding. But I want to know where he found that amount of time, because the homie was 3.7 seconds up after the second split. He put a hurt. Does that? I think the Atherton has hovercraft mode, because he put a hurting on us. Oh, dude. Yeah, that's the make or break section of the rocks. I mean, we've known forever that Fort William was gnarly for that top physical section, the pinball, G out, carrying speed through these corners that don't really have a lot of support, where you had to kind of pedal out and you're trying to carry momentum. The race run, the momentum was harder to come by, because you'd come out of a corner and the ground was rolling just so slow at sections where in practice I felt like I had been struggling to stay on the track, or like rolling with good speed. I felt like I needed to get off and walk in my race run. So I think that what Charlie did was just obviously we've seen him lose a second on the motorway. And historically we would see the race in won or lost on the motorway, exiting the woods at the bottom. Amari put a ton of time into everybody, exiting the woods last year. And if you would have come into the weekend and if you would have asked me where the race would have been won or lost, I would have honestly probably said in the woods. But that was not the case. From the boardwalk to the woods, I mean, that is a big section. But I think Charlie did a really good job at creating intensity in sections where other people were maybe trying to save energy for the bottom, or overlooking taking those extra pedals. And the knowledge of the British knowledge of Fort William did prevail, because you could tell he was absolutely smoked at the bottom and hung on to the motorway. I mean, he pedaled less than a lot of people and actually coasted in major key motorway sections with it running what I would call rolling slow. So it was pretty cool to see a different approach prevail for him to win the race. It just seemed like he was tapped from top to bottom, and then just pedaled where he knew he needed to on the motorway. But maybe some of the places where we threw pedals in that weren't as effective, he just chose to tug and got the job done.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Was that part of Sector 2? Was that all new as well? Like where it kind of connected into where Dante crashed?
Yeah, so they ran, it was OG from the boardwalk to after the cattle gate. So they took the cattle gate out and they just made a big left-hand berm there. And then after you hit you went where the cattle gate was. So it was all the same to the cattle gate.
Yeah.
They dug the cattle gate out, put in a left-hand berm. You went off the fadeaway, the kind of legendary rock fadeaway, and then they made a right-hand berm and a left-hand berm, or right-hand berm, a left flat corner, and it went from the old track to that new section they added a few years ago, and just kind of traversed over.
Yep.
And put in one really awesome corner, had a couple big berms, big compressions, more high-speed bike park modern racetrack. And then they did leave some of the a few of the classic Fort William corners, but a lot of the corners they just freshed them up, and they had no rocks in them, and they were just like bike park berms made out of that crushed concrete, I believe it is, that they used to build the track, and they just kind of put a fresh layer on the entire track. And honestly, it was awesome to ride. It was pretty dry and slippery the first day, and then tacky on qualifying morning, and dried out again for qualifying, and then good again for race morning, and then dried out for initial riders. But the speed was really good all week in terms of rolling speed. Tires were rolling across the ground well. The berms had good support, and speed was like a luxury item. You didn't need to pedal out of a lot of the corners. You were kind of on the limit naturally, and I think everybody practiced the track with pretty good grip or on the limit. And then when it did rain, it took the need for like where we were wanting to pedal out of the wood, that being the main need for pedaling. I think that Charlie saw an opportunity and was able to capitalize on that, where a lot of us overlooked it due to the speed the track was running in practice.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah, and you think he kind of knew more, like having more knowledge there, knew where those soft spots were?
Not necessarily the soft pockets. I just think that he knew that he would just have to hang it on the throttle stop from top to bottom and hold on. Where some of us were maybe a little like I honestly hit all the corners as hard as I could. I just missed some of the pedaling I think I should have took, now that I went back and watched helmet cams and watched race replays, and definitely, like, for my race run, I structured it a little bit differently. I had different goals. I mean, he clearly wanted to win at home, so, and not that I didn't want to, I can't say that I didn't want to win the race. Like, I was just saying that maybe I underestimated the limit of traction a little bit. And I think that it definitely would have helped to have grown up racing there, for sure.